For the first time since State Question 788 was passed, an Oklahoma medical marijuana dispensary becomes a victim of theft. The break-in has the cannabis industry taking a look at ways to make facilities more secure.
It was bound to happen sooner or later, the first reported break-in at an Oklahoma medical marijuana dispensary.
In the wee morning hours, we had someone break into our dispensary here in Edmonds. They started by grabbing some gravel out in the parking lot and trying to break the glass, but we have film on the glass that helps prevent it from shattering. So that was secure and fine, and they eventually ended up breaking the doors after some effort.
The thieves managed to get into the front of the store, but were prevented from going much further.
They weren't able to get into the back area. We used biometric door locks, kick plates, solid core doors, and a few other things. And so they were only able to get into the front, where they had a few small samples that they were able to take before ripping our cameras off the walls and going on their way.
The way the thieves acted, it seemed they had visited the dispensary before.
They seemed to know where the cameras were before they came in, and they were able to take those out fairly quickly. Edmond Police Department and their detectives say that it was more than likely someone who had already been scoping out the place.
Corbin Wyatt says they followed the law and immediately informed law enforcement and the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority of the theft.
We immediately contacted the OMMA and gave them a detailed history of what had happened and what we knew. We immediately called the police, who came out and investigated and began collecting samples for fingerprint dusting and things like that. Where we go from here, hopefully we work together to catch the perpetrator and increase security standards across the board to make sure that next time there's even less that they're able to accomplish.
It's an example that should be followed by any medical marijuana licensee, whether it's a dispensary, processor, or grower.
So in the event of diversion or theft, there are a couple of requirements in our rules. One being, first, they should immediately contact law enforcement. They also do need to notify us within 24 hours when they discover the event, and we'd like as much detail as possible in a written statement to us, including the estimated time, the date, the circumstances, and the amount that was stolen.
The break-in of the Peak Dispensary in Edmond was the first report of a medical marijuana theft to the OMMA.
This is the first one in a dispensary that I've heard about. I don't know if there have been any others, but this is the first that we've heard about in the news.
However, sources tell us that other dispensaries have experienced break-ins but did not report them to police or the OMMA, which could cause a problem when it comes to the required monthly inventory reports.
They also do need to report that in their monthly reporting. So, and again, as much detail as possible in that monthly report. If they have a police case number or a police report, if they could provide that to us as well, that is also helpful.
Those reports are expected to be pretty detailed.
So the monthly reporting contains things like, specific products and what inventory, any waste, and then again, in the event that there is something that's unaccounted for, we have a place for them to account for that and give an explanation as to why it's unaccounted for.
Those in the medical marijuana business are encouraged to let authorities know when cannabis goes missing, just like a pharmacy would be required to do for prescription medications.
We always want to be in the know if there's any sort of diversion or theft. Again, we try to account for that in those monthly reports to make sure that there aren't products out there that are just unaccounted for. So that's always helpful to have more information.
The law does require dispensaries, processors, and growers to have some security measures in place to protect their products from falling into the wrong hands.
We have general requirements saying that they need to have appropriate security measures to prevent diversion and theft. Also, there are some rules from the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics that speak to that as well.
Private security could play a pivotal role in keeping marijuana businesses secure.
We encourage everyone to take a really strong private security approach. Private security tends to be more proactive in preventing these crimes from happening.
Just the mere presence of an armed security guard can help ward off those who want to steal cannabis or cash.
Armed guards on premises put the impression out there that this dispensary is taking security seriously. Security cameras are great, but they're not enough to secure this sector. This sector, if you go to other states, Colorado, California, those dispensaries are locked down like fortresses.
Being proactive can help prevent crimes against medical marijuana-based businesses.
There's a study out of the University of California, Riverside, that talks about the proactive measures that dispensaries are taking, and in that study it points that crime does not necessarily increase around these dispensaries because of those proactive security measures.
In the meantime, the Peak dispensaries will be taking a look at their security measures in hopes of preventing another break-in.
We've actually started by talking to the police and taking their recommendations. We'll be installing a steel slide-down door in the front that'll cover the windows to make sure that at night we're able to keep the front safe unsafe from anyone that would use a truck to drive through it, for instance. We're increasing the security by adding metal doors instead of solid core doors, and we're adding more cameras, more sensors, and looking to see if we need an overnight security guard or anything else.
This first reported break-in will likely have many other dispensaries also making sure their products, cash, and customers are safe from criminals.